Welcome to the Fine Print, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Caleb Teskey, and today I am joined by Scott Lavalla, aka Mr. Burns from Montpelier here. Scott, thank you for being with me today, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah, now this is going to be a barn burner here because you got a lot of time under your belt. Before we get to the hip hop stuff, would you mind doing a 5 minute life story for us?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Vermont. Grew up in White River Junction. Was there until about 2008, and then moved up to Burlington, and been up here ever since. Pretty cut and dry.
That was good. That was like a 1 minute life story.
Yeah, yeah.
Hell yeah. Now, so the first thing I got to ask is obviously, I feel like I should get this out of the way. Are you a Simpsons fan?
I am a Simpsons fan. So the name comes from a buddy of mine, John Phillips. I'd spent the summer of eighth grade going into ninth grade out in Colorado. Grew these massive sideburns. And me and the homies were really into hip hop, so we were always freestyling. So everyone started calling me Montgomery Burns, named after, I'm not a greedy old yellow man, but the sideburns is where it came from. And I always hated the name at first because everyone was kind of clowning on me, but it stuck, and that's just what it came to. But it's funny because I was born in Springfield, Vermont, and then years later they won the actual naming rights to The Simpsons, so it was kind
Wow.
of a
So,
full circle thing. Yeah.
yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Well, shit. I was going to ask you about The Simpsons, but I got nothing now. I
Great
got no
show.
facial.
Great show.
I got no facial hair material. Yeah, I want to apologize to you. My notes are a little out of order here because you've been at it a long time here, Burns,
I've
and
been fortunate. Yeah.
you leave a journalist with a lot of research to do, unlike a lot of these cats.
That's a good thing, I guess.
It sure is. And I guess really the place I usually start with the artists is to ask them sort of how they got drawn into that line of work, or what was appealing at first, or who were some of your sort of inspirations when you were growing up.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, me and all my close friends were all big hip hop guys. It was probably, I don't know. I had this conversation not that long ago. I remember the first album that I ever bought with my own money was Weird Al's Running with Scissors. So that was, and then my choice of music back then was all over the place. I mean,
I love Weird Al, just for the record.
yeah, Weird Al's incredible. From that to, stealing my dad's Traveling Wilburys cassettes, and I was all over the place. Hank Williams, like it was crazy. But me and all my friends all had older siblings. When we were, I think probably 3 or 4 years ahead of us. So my buddy Brent Brockway, his older brother Dan, they were big hip hop heads, and I remember it was like the Rockus Records era of kind of Pharoah Monch, Most Def,
Oh yeah.
that type of stuff. So anytime he had CDs around, we'd always take them and listen to them, and that's really what made me fully love hip hop and want to kind of indulge more into it. We were all into Eminem, DMX, Jay Z, all the kind of mainstream stuff. But
How old are you, Scott?
once the 35.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but once the Rockus Records era is kind of what made me fully love hip hop. And Pharoah Monch, Jay Dilla, Slum Village, Jurassic 5, those were Little Brother, De La Soul, those are all like huge influences on me. And when I moved up to Burlington in 2009, I moved up with my best friend Brad Straffolino, and his old roommate in college was a guy named Tom Noonan, and his uncle owned the Vermont Pub Brewery, and that
Oh,
kind of
shit.
became the hub of where we hung out. And that's where I met the members of the Linguistic Civilians, and we kind of all just would be rhyming at house parties and stuff like that, and then kind of decided that we wanted to take it a little bit more serious. So we kind of got together. I bought a couple pieces of equipment, started producing, making beats, and I had been DJing for a little while before that, but we started making our own original songs, and then it kind of took off from there. We did an open mic in Manhattan's. Shout out to Andy Lugo. And then the booking agent for Nectar's was at it, saw us, booked us for a show at Nectar's. we were all young. All of our friends were college students. We had a huge following of people, so we packed the place, and then from then on, we just kind of kept getting shows, and it just grew from there.
Yeah, I was gonna say you did a couple of my segues for me right there. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I want to. That it sounded like you did like a residency or something. I saw that in a former interview you did at this open mic at Manhattan's, and it sounded like
Yeah,
maybe like a talent scout or something. I'm not sure who it was, but
yeah. So it was the booking agent at the time there at Nectar's, and we did a. I think the way it worked is that we did a 420 show, and then they booked us for a residency after that. So we did like a Wednesday night, every Wednesday night of the month after that, and then through that we kind of gained a little bit of a name, and then I was able to get us booked to open up for Lil Kim at Higher Ground, and then
oh, sick.
kind of just exploded from there.
Wow. So let
Yeah,
me ask you this. Let's dive into the linguistic civilian stuff because that was really the first thing I remembered right off the top of my head. I feel like
yeah,
I've seen you do a ton of shows, throughout the years here, but that was certainly the first thing that I thought popped. And I know I rolled up on one of your rehearsals one night with Steve Shannon. I got to see you guys playing around the
word,
garage a
word,
little
word.
bit, which
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
cool. And I'd also like to talk about. I kind of thought that you had some stuff going on before that, or assumed. I don't know what was the build up to that, and like when was your first show? Let me ask you that.
So I think so before I linked up with everybody in the civilians, it was nothing. I never really took it seriously. It was just
Word,
freestyling with the homies at house parties type of deal. That was
word.
which I had the conversation with my girlfriend not that long ago about how I'm very glad that that was not the time where everybody was recording everything, because I would absolutely hate to look back at any of any of that. I'm glad that is nothing that is archived at all. But yeah, we did. I think the first ever show we did was the holiday party at the Vermont Pub Brewery.
No shit.
Yeah. There was a band that was, the name is escaping me right now, but they would always play it, and we kind of just hopped on and did a couple songs like over their instrumentation, and that was like the first like ever show that we did. And then the open mic was like the one where we like kind of came up with our own material, rehearsed it, and you know did it proper.
So you just decided you were going to start making beats.
Yeah, I mean, when we first started messing around with stuff, it was like, we were rhyming over Ninth Wonder instrumentals, and
Oh,
so,
yep.
which is cool. We had a lot of fun with it. But the hip hop scene then was thriving. You had the Aztecs, VT Union, Burnt MD was doing it. Like it was a solid hip hop presence in Burlington and in the
Yep.
state. So I, just as being somebody who I feel like I've always had a business mind, just kind of thinking, like we can't step into the scene, opening up for the Aztecs, just rhyming over industry beats. Like we need to kind of, which I say that, but the first beats that I ever made were basically just looped samples that everybody knew with a drum track on top of it.
Hey,
So
well, that's how it all starts,
you
isn't it?
know yeah, yeah, yeah. So but we were just having a lot of fun with it at first, but then after a while we realized we were getting booked for bigger shows, and took it a little bit more seriously.
Hmm. What about? Oh, wasn't there some other group? The Perceptionists? Was that a thing?
So the Perceptionists is they're like legendary, Boston. Yeah, it's Acrobatic and Mr. Liff.
Oh, no,
We
no, wait. There was one other group from way back in Vermont. That's not sorry, not the Perceptionists. Hmm. I'll have to think of that one. I can never remember their names, but I had a killer CD from them way
oh
back when.
was it the Loyalists?
There you go. Thank you.
Loyalists, yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
was it,
So
man.
yeah, so I've always been a huge fan of them. E Train and Framework are legends, and not only the state hip hop scene, but they went on to do big things. So they moved out of the area right before we started, and them and the Aztecs and them were like kind of the co groups. So the
Oh no, yeah,
Aztecs are kind of,
I've
they
seen a
were
bunch of
around. And
Aztecs. Oh, sorry to cut. Go ahead.
no, you're good. But I was always, growing up in White River Junction, just being an hour and a half away from Burlington, any hip hop show that happened at Higher Ground, me and my homies would drive up for. We were first ones in line, hands X'd, front row, word for word. But it was always either the Aztecs, Burt MD, or VT Union opening up. So it was they were all. I was huge fans of all of them, kind of growing up. So then once we hopped on the scene and were able to link up with shows and do stuff with them, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've definitely seen a few Aztec shows way back when.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean they're incredible, absolutely incredible, and they're still doing stuff. Lyrics down in Atlanta now, killing it, and
no shit.
pros up here. He's a father of two, so he stays pretty low, but he still puts out music that's absolutely incredible. So they're still doing it.
Hmm. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Uh, for sure. I feel like those guys really helped put Vermont on the map.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that also goes into there's never really been hip hop promoters in the area, so it's always kind of been artists playing that role. So Burt MD was, he had his hand in bringing a lot of big name hip hop artists through the area, and VT Union as well. Nasty, they
Way to
brought a
go!
lot of
You
big
skipped
time.
ahead to that question too, because
Yeah, yeah.
I was gonna ask you about that. You mentioned that in an interview. I read through all of Boland's interviews before I
Oh, yeah,
pull
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
for
yeah,
sure.
he's got it down.
He does great interviews, and I thought that was something interesting that you said was that it seems like it helps when there are non-artists sort of filling that role.
I mean, I think it's key because it's always, if you're an artist putting on a show and you don't include other people in it, then it turns into this negative thing. You know what I mean? Whereas if it's a promoter who has no stake in stage time, you know what I mean? It's just like it's a different mentality, and I think
I
people look
feel
at
you.
it differently. And in all honesty, like I love every show that I've put on, even the ones that have you know cost me a lot of money that I did not recoup. But the ones that I can just show up as an artist, I'm not in charge of every other aspect of a show, is definitely enjoyable. So I think it takes a toll on the artist to constantly keep doing that, and
I agree. Yeah.
it's a tough market up here, for if you're talking, 90s, early 2000s hip hop artists, like that fan base is home with kids, you know what I mean? Most of them
Well,
aren't coming out to see this person regardless of if they're never coming back here again, so it's tough to really push that up here. So
I didn't have
but
kids specifically for that reason.
they ruin everything. They ruin
Well, let me tell you this, dude. I've been putting together a couple of shows. I read your comment about these non-artists doing promotional stuff, which is kind of what I've been doing. I've been grabbing
it. Yeah.
weed companies and getting sponsorship deals for other people to put on shows. We did one at Green Door Studios.
Yep.
And we did one here in Morrisville at Tacos and Taps or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So if you ever need anyone to help with that, I think I might be able to.
Please, man, please. Yeah, that's a an aspect now that is, sponsorship's key. I've been, shout out to Switchback. They've always been big supporters over the years of me and helped out in a lot of ways. But I mean, with the weed industry booming and finally being able to take off, that's a huge thing. Shout out. I do a Monday night residency at the Rex
I
in
saw that dude up
Sugar Bush.
at Sugar Bush. Yeah, talk about that a little
Yeah,
bit if you
so
don't mind.
Dino, the guy who owns the spot, is he's from Staten Island. He's a big hip hop head, and just an all around incredible guy. So he's put on these shows at the end of the year called the Rock the Bush, where he's had CL Smooth, Slick Rick, Daz
Sick.
Effects, Craig G, all these legends. And it's a real intimate, small venue. So, but he's wanting to kind of put more hip hop shows on. So we decided to do this Monday night thing, and we're on third. Well, this will be the fourth week tonight that we're doing it. So, but it's taken off, and we actually to circle back. So Valley Mead Dispensary in Waitsfield, they're hopping on and being a part of it with us. So
Awesome.
yeah, yeah,
I haven't talked to them yet, but they are on my queue here.
yeah, yeah. No, I've a few phone calls with them. They're great people, so I'm excited to start working with them.
Cool. And I like what about the switchback thing? How did you sort of approach them?
Yeah, so it was back when the Linguistic Civilians were, we were doing. There were some years that we were doing, like 200 plus shows a year. Like we were
Wow.
just grinded. So, but I used to put together this November tour that we did that was called the Tossing Out Turkeys tour, where we did it was a month-long tour around New England, and at each show we had a thing called the Beirut Challenge. So it was basically beer pong, Beirut, whatever you
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to call it. You just basically pay $5-10, you shoot till you miss, you win a bunch of prizes. And Switchback was like the main sponsor on that, so I kind of just reached out to them with a sponsorship proposal, and they were all about it. So and that
Sick.
was, I mean, the first time I think we worked with them was maybe 2010, and they've been big supporters of me ever since.
Hmm. Cool. I mean, this is something that I was trying to talk to some of the people who did the shows that I helped put together. Were sort of like asking me like how I did that, and it's just like,
Yeah,
well, it really comes down to picking up the phone or going to meet people, or shaking hands, and
yeah,
seeing if they'd be willing to throw down money for a show.
yeah, yeah. And it's sponsorship's tough because most companies have a marketing team that they pay to do exactly what you are asking them to do for you. You know what I mean? So it's all about, and a bunch of people have approached me and asked me about this as well. And, I don't ever feel like I'm like wanting to withhold information, but there's also a part of me that's like, you know, do a little bit of ground legwork. You know what I mean? Put in the time that everybody else has to kind of figure it out. But it's all about just giving them a reason uh, to market their company in ways that they haven't thought of that you can do. You know what I mean? And I think as an artist and a musician, there's a whole slew of different ways that you can do that. Especially now with video content and different social media aspects. But yeah, it's just all like ways to market their company that they can't do themselves is kind
Hmm.
of the
That's a
aspect
great
that I've
that's a
seen.
great
Yeah,
quote. Yeah, man. Well said. I'm trying to, I was hoping maybe you could give these younger bucks maybe a bit of an idea of what, some ways to go about that. So maybe like, I don't mind doing it. I actually love doing it. I love putting
yeah,
people together and putting shows on and helping people get paid.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but really what I'd like to do is create a database of sort of businesses that might be interested in, like business owners that might like, hey, would you be willing to throw down $100 if we called you once a month or something? We put them on
yeah,
a
yeah.
list and give that artist like access to that database so that then when they want to do a show, you could call these people, if you
Right.
can't get like a recurring sponsorship or something like that.
No, definitely. Yeah, and I mean it's the face to face. Show up at the spot. Ask to talk to the management. Ask to talk to somebody. Just but it's I think that the most important way is to have a plan, have a proposal ready. You know what I mean? Be real professional about it. Like, you can meet somebody and put the time in to kind of, gain a relationship, but if you're looking to get the sponsorship, that's your main goal, try to figure out ways that you can market and get their name or product out to people that they haven't been able to do themselves.
Mm-hmm. And you made an interesting point about, I believe you said there were some venues that really were not hip hop friendly when you first started trying to do shows, and you sort of, I believe you said you broke them.
Yeah, no, we were fortunate at this, and it's funny because doing so many shows, and I was the Linguistic Civilians booking agent and manager and graphics, and I kind of took care of all the business side of things, and we uh we were always, it was always just a hip hop group, hip hop, rap, hip hop, and there's so many people. I know there's a company online that I paid for to get um, booking agent or talent buyers info. It's called Indie on the Move, and if you go on there and you look at Vermont, 90% of them literally on their genre, the genres that they allow, it says no rap hip hop. So we ended up having a drummer become part of the group. Taylor, shout out to Taylor Whipple. And through that, I kind of then restructured things because we were kind of, we were funky party music. Like we had, like incredible lyricism, like in the group, but it was all about partying and having a good time.
Yeah.
So then I switched it to we were a funk hip hop group. So once you take hip hop as like a subgenre, people instantly start looking at you differently, and it opened up so many different doors for us. And we were able to, hit a bunch of venues. And by venues, I say mostly it's like restaurants that do live music, but those are the ones that pay the most, in all honesty. So like
Sure.
that was huge for us early on in our career to then, have a solid circuit. We could do 2 weeks worth of shows in Vermont alone, playing these different markets that no one else hits as the hip hop artist. So
What's the
we were
first
pretty
restaurant or
fortunate.
venue that you broke down?
I think that the snowshoe in Montgomery was the one
Oh,
that I
sick.
remember the most. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was like and it's funny because I remember the old owner who owned it. Um, Shout out to John and Pete who own it now. They're really good dudes. But the old guy, the first night that we did it, I remember we always start our shows with DJing. Shout out to DJ BP. He was technically our second DJ, but he passed away a few years ago.
Uh,
Um, but we start DJing, so he's going for like 45 minutes, and I remember the owner coming up to me being like, "What? Like, this isn't what I'm paying for." Like, I'm like, "We're just warming the crowd. Like, we're this is how we structure it. This is a hip hop night, man. This is a hip hop night. I don't know what you want." But yeah, it was funny. It was, we were very fortunate to play a lot of venues that hip hop artists hadn't been able to play before. So
it reminded me of sort of, and I saw you doing shows at Sugar Bush. It sort of reminded me of how like people weren't allowed to snowboard at ski resorts
right.
back in the
Oh
day.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
had to like
definitely.
slowly work that in, and they're like, "Fine, we'll allow it. I guess
Right,
people
right,
like
right.
this."
Yeah. It's like, oh, you guys don't do like fish covers? Like, all right, we'll do something. Yeah.
Play some Grateful Dead.
Oh man, it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy. But that's the main thing around here. So
What's it like trying to organize a crew? What was there, like five of you in there? Five or six?
yeah, so the original was we had we had five MCs, a DJ, a drummer, and then we had a full backing band with us too
Oh,
for
damn.
a lot of big shows that we did. And then one of the MCs left the group, and so it was four, and then for the most part after that it was four MCs and a drummer. But yeah, it's not easy, It's to organize scheduling and because I mean at the beginning of everything, like we everyone worked in the hospitality industry, so it's working nights, so it's like getting time off, and shows weren't really paying, anyone's anything, other
Right.
than we just instantly, basically, we took that and paid off the bar tab at the end of the night. Um, it was everyone sacrificed a lot, and I think once it's unfortunate because as a group we were kind of on the cusp of like maybe getting to the point of like either a booking agency picking us up or like really hitting it big, and that's right when everyone kind of started families or different careers and different things, so just you know as most groups do, they kind of fall apart.
Yeah, and
But
I
yeah,
saw
I
that.
mean,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
it's not easy. It's not easy. And I tell you what, going from a group mentality to then solo it was it was eye opening with how much easier things could be. But I also look back at it, and those were probably the best times of my life being a part of a group like that. So
I never realized you guys were playing with a band.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know when we first started doing that, but I remember the first like real big show that we did was we got booked to play the Martha's Vineyard sound set, which is like their festival down on Martha's Vineyard.
Sick.
So we had a full band with us then, um, and then that kind of took off, and we did a lot of different you know different breweries have their summer festivals and stuff like that. So we any real big show we would have you know Rusty Nail was the spot that we would always have the band with us and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So, yeah.
That was a great joint over there.
Man, that was we had a lot of fun down at that spot. We used to do this thing. We'd have a party bus. We rented out Green Mountain Transportation, whatever. We had a school bus from Burlington and a school bus from White River Junction that drove everybody to the Rusty Nail for the show. And it was great because you could bring booze on the bus and leave it on the bus, so you had it on the ride home too. But it
Perfect.
ended up getting a little wild. Like a fight broke out, this and that, so we had to cancel that. So
On the bus?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh boy.
yeah. It was the one. It was the one that was going back down to White River Junction, and I don't know if it was someone on the bus that called the cops or the bus driver that called the cops, but like state police pulled them over. And
Yeah.
I think state from what I heard about what happened is that the state police got on the bus and basically was like, I don't want to deal. Like everyone just calm down and get home. I'm not about to go through this. There's like 45 people on the bus. Like,
There's no fighting on the party bus. Like,
yeah, yeah. It was wild. It was wild. But those are good times. Those are good
uh,
times.
it sounded like also maybe you were having a little bit of a moral or ethical dilemma with booking with having a solo act and also being in a group at the same time and sort of deciding like when to book shows for the group or for yourself. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I mean, the crossover with that was actually pretty minimal with me. It was kind of, I think it was like spring of 2016, I think, when I first like started like doing the solo thing fully. But it was, a few months of kind of getting offered shows that the group couldn't do, so I just took it myself. And
Ah,
I think that that's also tough because there's a lot of resentment and negativity from other members, seeing you doing this without them. And so that played a part into it as well.
but
So,
if they can't make it, I mean, that's kind of a different story.
right, right. So that's, and that's the frustration on my end of things. But, yeah, it was very minimal, the crossover for me. So I haven't seen it, but, you go off of like big name groups. And I mean, I'm in no way comparing myself to anybody as like a Wu-Tang member or anything. But when you have a big group like that and everyone starts doing their own solo thing, I think it's only healthy to do that if you're
I was
gonna
gonna say, did
gonna
you
have.
ever work like I know the Wu Tang? I just saw Inspector Deck and Capadonna at Zen Bar. Did you
Yeah.
guys ever work in a limited capacity where you would bring a couple of members?
There were some shows, but we never. It was always still um, under the name. It basically was, and that played a very negative impact in booking shows with certain venues because, like, we had a female MC in the group who was, the face of the group. You didn't have that. There weren't a lot of female MCs, and especially one of her caliber.
Oh,
So
she was killing it.
yeah, so if we booked a show and she wasn't there, the town buyer wasn't that happy.
I got you.
So it played a little bit of a negative aspect in me playing, the making up for it on the back end of things with a lot of angry emails. But I think in hindsight, I would have, if I could go back, I would have encouraged all of us to do solo things and kind of put that out there because it would have just made things easier with booking. You know what I mean? So,
Sure. Yeah, I agree.
because if it's like a Wu Tang or a Jurassic Five or something like that, like members who, or if you look at like a group like the Living Legends, who they had the Living Legends, but then they had like 5 or 6 subgroups with different members in it, so you could kind of do, you could go in all sorts of different directions when it
Sure.
comes
Or
to the
like
booking.
hieroglyphics comes to
Or
mind.
Hyro, yeah, yeah, exactly.
They
Yep.
had a ton of guys. I saw them down at the Middle East in Boston, and there was like fucking. I was like, damn,
Oh
that's
man,
heavy.
yeah, we did a couple years ago. I had them come through Arts Riot, and then we did Hawks and Reed down in Greenfield, Mass, and it was their last time ever all together. I mean, that's what they say. Who knows if they'll do it again? Hopefully they will. But
Yeah, Fish
yeah,
keeps saying that same shit.
right, yeah. But then
Last show.
you put the check in front of them, and they're like, all right, one more.
Well, they know how to get that money. You just say it's the last show every time.
Yeah. There's no shortage of that with them.
I want to circle back a minute because I meant to ask you about your sort of how you started making beats and like what kind of gear you were using or what, because I used to make beats a little bit and
Yeah,
or like
yeah.
what kind of software you were using or how that started.
Yeah, so the first thing that I ever bought, there was a company that was here in Burlington. I can't even remember the name of them. DJ something. I don't think it's a company anymore, but they were off of College Street. But I bought the Korg Nano series, which was like these like small strips, right? It was like I think it was like 8 pads, and then it was like 18 little keys, and then it was like a little couple knobs that you
I
could
think it was
EQ.
like 16 keys. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like
Yeah,
a little two
it wasn't,
octave. Yeah, yeah.
and it was. I mean, it was so hard to do, but yeah, and it was funny because, of course, back then, if in hindsight, I would have bought one of those like USB extenders that you could plug them all into, but instead, I'm just doing one at a time, and it was all through GarageBand. I bought a computer, I just used GarageBand, That was it. That's how basically the first like year or so of everything that I did was just GarageBand and the Korg Nanos. Yeah, and it was fun. I mean, in all honesty, like I had a blast using those. That was a lot of fun. And then from there, I kind of upgraded to the Akai MPK, and then I mean I've had everything through the years. But
What you got now? Where are we at?
so right now I got the new SP404 is like the new thing that I'm messing around with. I got a machine micro that I use a lot too, but honestly, I just have a keyboard that I go back to. I don't know. I enjoy just chopping up a sample and having it on the keys is kind of what I've been the most used to. But I'm really digging the SP and kind of getting used to doing that because it's also fun. Uh, Shout out to my man C Sharif, who I just did a run of shows with. He's rocked the SP for a while live, so trying to get that down as well to make it a little bit easier.
Yeah, that's a whole other aspect. Is aside from like the beat production at home, is like trying to set it up so you could do a live show, which I got
Yeah, yeah,
decent at
yeah.
making beats, but that's a whole other fucking can of worms right
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, I'm using it live as just like like it's already finished beats that I just trigger to play, so it's
Right.
just easier because for the longest time I would DJ for myself, but I don't know. I kind of like the not being behind the turntables and just walking in front of it. I feel like it's awkward a little bit, so I just like the SP aspect of it. So I'm still working on it. I got a lot of ways to go, so I gotta hit up SK to get a couple tutorials.
Fucking A, dude. That guy, he's out of
He's a
control.
he's a monster on it. He's a monster
Yeah.
on it. So,
Yeah. I'm still waiting to get him on, but
yeah, yeah.
it's fucking. I just imagine that guy spends 23 hours and like 49 minutes a day in the studio, and then he sleeps upside
Yeah.
down for 11
I mean,
minutes.
yeah, he stays busy with. It. I don't know how he does it, and I know he's got the another album with General Steel coming out at some point. So I'm excited for that.
Oh yeah. I wanted to ask you about the mixing and mastering because it sounded like maybe you were working with Zach, and I was curious if you would maybe talk a little bit about your relationship with him.
Yeah, I mean, he's the go-to. He's the most definite unsung hero in Vermont hip hop. I mean, you don't really think about that when it comes to putting out albums, like how much an engineer has to do with it. If you're not a musician yourself, but yeah, everything I've done solo has all been mixed and mastered by him, and he absolutely crushes it. And I'm sure he's been a little bit annoyed on my part because my biggest downfall with putting out music is procrastination and then rushing it. So it's always I got like a big tour coming up, so I'm like, Zach, can we get this done in 3 weeks?
You
And
like
he
to put
does.
him on the spot, huh?
He does, man. And he crushes it. So yeah, I only have two solo albums that I put out, but he did both of them, and I've kind of I've dabbled a little bit in mixing on my own. I'll mix just for live aspects. You know what I mean? That's kind of another downfall I think of my music career is that I make songs to perform. I don't ever make them to record. So that's
I
something
saw I saw you mention that. Yeah.
I'm trying to change. I'm trying to change because it's a day and age where you could put out a song and it'll reach 3 times as more people as you would if you toured for a month. You know what I mean? So
Great point.
I definitely got to get better at that. But yeah, I mean, if you're an aspiring hip hop artist out there, definitely hit up Zach Crawford if you want some quality recordings and beats. I mean, he's a monster when it comes to production too.
Yeah, and he's also like a multi-instrumental, at least like I don't know what his skill level is, but I believe he said he could play 3 or 4 instruments
Oh
maybe.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. I
he
know for
laces. I really like hip hop beats personally, that work in some live instrumentation, man. I'm a big fan of that kind of shit.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've always been huge on that as well. So yeah, I know. I mean, I know guitar, drums. I'm sure piano. I know he plays a bunch. So yeah,
It's kind of cool too because like I mean I love sampling, but like if you have live instrumentation, you can take those stems and like resample the stems, and now you have sort of your own sample that you've created, which
yeah,
is
yeah,
yeah, that's
yeah.
where I
That's what
really
we
good.
yeah we did the last Civilians album that we did. We kind of went the other way, but was all sample based production, but then we just had the band kind of emulate and recreate it. So the whole album
Oh,
is the actual live instrumentation. And then my buddy Taylor Whipple, he laid down a bunch of uh, drum breaks for me at one point, and I used a bunch of those on a lot of my own recordings. So that's a lot of fun.
oh hell yeah! The live drums is
Chopping up
another
drum.
thing.
Yeah.
I've always been a big fan of the Roots since I saw them at Woodstock in '99.
Yeah, probably was the top 3 live show I've ever seen. And
Oh, for sure.
that was we used to go see the Roots anytime. Anytime. It was 4 hour distance, we're going to see them if they were anywhere in New England. So
Yeah, I saw them at Higher Grounds. I saw them at Woodstock. I think that was it. But those were both great shows. Immediately, I saw them
yeah.
at 16, and I pulled up. That was the first show we walked up on at Woodstock, and we're in this giant sea of people trying to figure out where the fuck we are. And they started playing, and I was just like, "What the?" I was like magnetically attracted to the stage. I
Oh
had to
yeah.
just like,
At 99?
yeah. Well, I didn't have what?
At Woodstock 99?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh damn, man, you were
Yeah, they were
there?
there early. Yeah, it was wild. I had to stop and ask them because I didn't have a program with me, and I didn't have a cell phone. I was 16, and I just had to like
Right.
ask people. I'm like, who the fuck is this right here? Until someone finally told us,
Yeah,
and I was like, all right, well, I'm on board. And
yeah. Yeah. No,
22,
I
22
just
years later,
watched
go ahead. Yeah.
that documentary not that long ago. That was
Oh
wild,
God,
dude.
what a shit show. They put some fucking
Dude,
real goobers on that documentary.
of course. Of
The
course.
HB,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
They
One of those
did.
dudes looked like Beavis. Oh man, it
Looked
was
like a
not. And
wild
you know what?
time.
That show, they blamed a lot of that on Limp Bizkit, and I hated that because that show did not go off the rails from Limp Bizkit. That shit was already a dumpster fire, and they
Already
just
gone.
put
Yeah,
more
yeah.
gas on it. You know, like the
Right. Was
promoters
the
really,
Well, yeah, the promoters didn't want to take any of the blame themselves, so they blame it on the artist. Yeah.
yeah, which I thought was a super fucking low blow. They
Right.
didn't hire enough security. The security they did hire was all high as fuck, and they were just
Right.
wandering around, fucking getting high with people. Like, that's on you guys. You didn't hire
Right.
good security. Shit's out of
Right.
hand.
Yeah, they look wild. They look
It
wild.
it did. It felt like we actually got out of there right when the fire started burning because
Oh yeah.
we were just like, nah, we're all set. We went back to the hotel and ate mushrooms and smoked hash.
There you go. But I felt like you still were there.
Yeah, we watched it on TV. We watched the fires go down.
That's wild. That's wild.
Oh, word. I kind of wanted to ask you about sort of I follow like the hip hop pages on Facebook and stuff like that. And I see a lot of kind of like a lot of this in the rap game. I don't want to single anyone out, but there's a lot of guys who just like sort of complain because they're not getting the attention they want or the
Right.
kind of reactions that they think they deserve or whatever. I never really see you say shit. I see you posting shows for flyers and doing shows. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
do you think maybe that helps getting you more of the attention you want?
Yeah, I mean, everyone says, good. Any press is good press, or you know what I mean. Like that, I don't think that holds any weight. Like if you're constantly, and this is too much of a close knit community. Like if you're just constantly the person complaining, no one's going to give you a chance. No one's going to be like, all right, we're sick of hearing this guy. Let's put him on the show. You're just going to get tossed aside. You know what I mean? Like, and it's tough. Like it's tough. There's not a lot of opportunities for shows for hip hop artists right now. It's even before the pandemic, it was tough, but it's even harder now because if you're a venue who's doing hip hop shows, like honestly, you're taking a risk. Like a local hip hop show, you're taking a risk. Like you could probably put a jam band in that night and make sure that you have 50 people come in. So but it's just you gotta put in the legwork. If you and 6 other people that could put a show together and you guys could get 50 people out, then that's approach a venue like that. It's to complain to other artists that you're not being on a show is just it's not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to get you anywhere. And I don't. The only thing I use social media for is for show promotion. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, I really
um,
don't see you like, which I appreciate. I certainly am the total opposite kind of person where I'm kind of a social media whore, but I feel
well, we
like
need that too.
I'm doing my own kind of promotion, which requires the same kind of thing.
Right. Right.
But I think it's important for kids to hear that, like people that are coming up, like yeah, I saw some of this in the comedy game too. People like, oh, I never get booked for shows. It's like, all right, well, you came out to open mics and no one was laughing. Like maybe you should try some new jokes, or maybe you should put on your own show or something. You know, like
Right.
stop complaining and get to fucking work.
Right. And you know what I mean? Like it's also if you know if you're a comedian and you do a bunch of open mics and no one laughs, maybe just not funny. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like there's other aspects of the music game that you could get into. You know what I mean? If you're not a good MC, maybe look into DJing or making beats or put on a show. You don't
So I was
have to
gonna
be
say,
on
sounds like you could
stage. You
use
know
some
what I mean?
promoters.
Yeah, there you go. That's the promoter. But that's also it's a double-edged sword because I feel like there's a lot of people who start putting on shows and then they realize that a promoter is a very thankless job. You're never going to get the the accolades and the clout. So then they say, "Well, I'm gonna slot myself in on this show,
I'm
and
gonna
I'm
get
gonna
in
do
there.
yeah, I'm gonna be the direct support for whoever." So it kind of goes both ways. So I think it's a never-ending circle, and I don't know that things will ever change, but
Yeah.
I don't think that complaining is ever going to get you anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I wanted to say too. I'm going to take you for a walk and go reload my pipe here, but
Oh, you good?
I wanted to say I've told a couple other people about doing shows at ski resorts because
Yeah.
they have the budget for it. They have beautiful venues, a lot of them. Oh, sorry. Oh, there we go. All right. And I thought that some people should have looked into that because I did one show at a ski resort up at Burke, and like it was a comedy show. I've only been doing
Yeah.
comedy for like 2 years at this point. We got $500 for three of us. We got free rooms and dinner and drinks.
Oh yeah. No, it's ski resorts are where it's at because they have a budget and it's only for a certain part of the year. So that was, I mean, with the civilians, we used to do 3 or 4 shows up at J Peak, and
Oh, nice.
again, it was great payout, food, drinks, and they gave us a condo for the weekend.
Oh, you
So
guys probably got some of that Ponzi scheme money.
yeah, I was. Oh yeah, no, we were because I was getting letters every week about the whole thing because I was a vendor. So
Oh shit!
yeah, but I didn't even. I was like, I don't care. Even if I,
Just no,
if
you
I was
take
to
the
get money off it, it'd be pennies. So
you. At least
you
some
know
of that money went to some good shit. You know.
exactly. So, but no, you're not wrong. Like ski resorts are where it's at. The Rex, the thing that I do, they don't have affiliation to the resort, but
Oh,
you know
okay.
yeah, they're their own. He's his own private
Okay, I
restaurant,
just
but
saw Sugar Bush on the flyer.
yeah. No, I mean, I've been pushing that just because it's like people don't really know of the Rex. So if you at least know, and people also probably don't even know where Warren, Vermont is. But if you say Sugar Bush, then it's like, all right, I know where that is. So
You're clever with the marketing. I like it.
you gotta dumb it down sometimes.
Yeah. One thing I really have been trying to encourage people to do, like, I want to help people get paid here, and I feel like a lot of people just don't have any idea of how to go about that. Like, selling music online is super hard. You got to have a
Yeah,
big following or getting
yeah,
like monetizing a social media, super fucking hard. But like, it's
oh yeah,
not that hard to drive to a business and be like, hey, would you be interested in like kicking us a few $100 for a show?
no,
And
not at all. And
especially
even
at,
I mean, it could be as simple as you throwing down $30 to make a banner that has everyone's logo on it and put it behind you on stage. Like, yeah, that's a way that people see their logo in a way that they wouldn't have been able to market it themselves. You know what I mean? So
just like you were talking about. Yeah, yeah.
so it's like just those little things. It doesn't have to be crazy. It really doesn't. Some companies, if you want to go big, if you want, a Ben and Jerry's, sponsorship or something like that, you're gonna have to think of some pretty clever ways to market and in all honesty, most of the sponsorships that I've gotten are because it's a sponsorship for a show that's benefiting something else. You know what I mean? Whether it be local food shelves or something like that. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, it's. I think you are 100% right that that's how you make certain shows happen is with sponsorships. Because
It's funny you mentioned
there's
that because I remember you guys used to do with maybe the civilians some fundraisers for food shelves and shit. Was there any
yeah
other
yeah
charities you guys did up?
yeah. So that tossing out turkeys tour that we did, that was all we would raise money and then we'd buy frozen turkeys and toss them to a local food shelf. It was like the whole thing. So
Did you really
uh,
throw them?
yeah, so we actually there's a Channel 5 news segment they did on us, and we're taking them out of the trunk of the car and throwing them into the food shelf. So, but yeah, we've done a bunch over the years, and I just did one this past month before the holidays for Lund, and yeah,
What's that?
I tried Lund. They're a company that they give financial assistance to families in need, and they do a whole slew of other things that helps out communities and kids. So
Hmm. Why do you do that? Just to be a nice guy?
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I was a complete piece of shit in another life or what, but I just feel like it's needed. If you can. There's a certain point as a musician, as an artist, that I feel like you got to give back to the community.
You
Especially
do
if
have
you,
a
I
lot
don't,
of love out here, and I can totally understand. Like, I only have a little love, and I already feel that way. So you you've
you
got a ton
know,
of love all over the state, and yeah, totally.
yeah, I think it goes a long way, and in all honesty, it feels good. Like it's a maybe a selfish act, but I feel like I get more enjoyment out of those shows than I do just doing a show where I'm just on stage rapping. You know what I
It's a
mean?
win-win, like because some people say that like it's selfish. You're just doing that so you feel good, but it's like other people feel good. We both feel good. It's like how could
Right.
that possibly be a bad
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know that there's any. It's a selfless act. Mostly everything is selfish in your life, but hey, somebody else benefits out of it too, then cool.
oh yeah, oh yeah. I'd like to ask you about your tour with Jarv and those guys because that looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. So Jarv and I we've been rocking together for a while. Actually, I put him and his group on their first ever show
No
uh,
shit. The
years
maiden
back.
voyage
Yeah,
guys.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So
Awesome.
and yeah, we've just we both have a demented sense of humor, so we work well together on the road. Um, so it's been a good run for us. But the tour with him, myself, Dylan, who's from down in Atlanta,
It's sick.
and
Yeah.
and I-9
Yeah.
from New Hampshire. So we've all been friends for a while, and I think this is the fourth or fifth tour we've done together, and yeah, touring with people. It can be fun and it could be absolutely excruciating, and it all has to do with in all honesty your sense of humor. if
Yeah.
if everybody has the same sense of humor and you can just joke around and cause a ruckus, like that's a lot of fun. So the four of us, we're four demented individuals. So
Jarv is a funny bastard too.
he's something else, that Nathan.
Hmm.
Uh,
So let's see. Here's another guy I was hoping you'd tell me about because I'm hoping to get him on the show. Conflict.
yeah, that's I mean he's one of the godfathers of Vermont hip hop, man, and he's killing it right now. Him and Nasty they got a great business plan together with putting out music and promoting it and doing tours. I know he's linked up with his company Full Blast. I think my headphones just died.
Nope.
Yeah, can you still hear me?
I sure can. Yeah.
All right, make sure I can hear you.
How about it?
All right, cool. But yeah, man, he's one of the most talented MCs when it comes to lyrics and stage presence and everything. Yeah, he'd be a good one to get on. Yeah.
Is he talkative?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah.
Word up.
I mean, he says what he needs to.
Hmm. What here's the other thing I wanted to ask you is because I feel like you've probably done more shows than I don't know, if we took all the rappers in Vermont ever or all the performers, you got to be up there at the top of the list in terms of like live shows. And a lot of
Yeah.
those have been with some fucking big names in the rap game. And I was curious maybe who some of your favorite guys to work with are.
I mean, so I was lucky enough to link up with the legendary Masta Ace years ago. And I mean, he's, top five MC dead or alive, in my opinion, always has been. So he's one of my favorites to work with, without a doubt. Um,
Charlie Tuna from Jurassic 5 was a blast to work with. I just did a show with Oddisee, Higher Ground. I've opened up for him a couple times. He was great.
I saw him last time he came through, and he fucking kills it. I
mean, Good Company, the band that he's got is they're on another level. So
yeah.
I mean, in all honesty, like, you know, there's most of your favorite artists, like big name artists, when you meet them, most likely they're going to be disappointed. But I've been fortunate to be able to work with a lot of legendary hip hop artists, and they've all been mostly pretty good. But yeah, Ace was definitely one of my favorites. We've toured probably 6 or 7 times together, and he's just all about the music. No messing around. It's, you know, we're here to work. We're here to make money. This is how it's going down. So,
well, I mean, that's apparent in his output.
yeah. And the fact that he's, you know, 50 plus still doing it. So
I was gonna say, like, he's been in the game fucking the whole time.
Yeah.
It feels like
he's legendary. That's always been a good time.
Lord.
I'm trying to get this back so I can hear you. There we
go. I'm close to the end here.
Oh, good.
I think we're getting to the end. I had one guy. Oh, I had to circle back for one because I did want to ask you about how you sort of steered through the COVID times as a guy who does a lot of live shows.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was kind of a blessing for me because I kind of just like fully stepped back. I actually ended up like selling all my equipment, and I didn't do anything for probably 9 months.
Damn.
I didn't make a beat. I didn't write a song. I obviously didn't do a show. And then I work a lot with my homie Josh West, who's a drummer, musician. He plays a bunch of different instruments, but very talented individual. So we did an outdoor show at Orlando's, and I don't even know when that was. It was probably August of, I guess it was 2020. It was August of 2020, but it was weird, you know, like no one could get up and dance. No one could get near you. No one could do anything. So I did that, and it was good to, you know, at least be back on the mic for a minute, but then kind of took a break again after that. And then once things started opening back up and show opportunities kept coming back in, then, you know, I kind of bought a bunch of new gear and kind of got back out of it. But I mean, I think it was a blessing in disguise for me, because it had been a long time since I had just relaxed and not, you know, because it takes a toll on you constantly being on the road and doing all that. So it was nice to take a little bit of a break.
No doubt. Who did your logo?
I do all my own graphics. Man,
sick, dude. You killed it. That shit's.
I appreciate it, man. I always like, I kind of like, this is like kind of like the staple, like the, you know, the main one, but I'll come up with different ones. I pride myself on my merchandise, so I kind of come up with different logos to put on it to entice people to give me money.
I hope it works.
Yeah, I mean, I've been fortunate. Yeah.
Word. Well, that was. I did want to ask you too if there was any other advice that you might offer to people that were trying to get in or book shows that we might have missed here. But other than that, that's all the questions I have, and I always leave the last word for my guests. Burns, thanks so much, man. It's been fascinating.
You, man.
Yeah, but if there's anything we missed, any shameless plugs, any shout outs you want to do, this is all you.
Word, but yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. I've enjoyed watching the interviews you've done so far, man. I had a good time watching that Masta one. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, you know, the only advice I can really give is, I know it's tough. You know, people are working, people are struggling money wise, but just get out and network. You know, go to shows, like, just be supportive. If you're having trouble booking shows or connecting with different artists, like, face to face, like you show up to somebody's show and pay $5, man, that's gonna make all the difference in the world to then build a relationship with them business wise. You know what I mean? There's other ways of becoming collaborators or friends, but like, if you're looking to get on shows, like, just face-to-face networking is there's no better way. You know, show up to a show, introduce yourself, say what up, get a CD, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it's because that comes full circle, you know what I mean? Because then you do a show, you buy my album, you put on a show, I come to yours, I'm buying your album too, you know what I mean? So it kind of just that's the face-to-face networking. I think there's nothing better. But yeah, man, I'm just staying busy with it. We got the Monday nights at the Rex is kind of the main thing that I'm focusing on right now. February 11th, the legendary Fatty B's album release show is kind of happening at the Double E in Essex.
Coming through for that, yeah.
Man, that's going to be like a monumental night of Vermont musicians. So that's February 11th. Make sure everyone comes out to that. But yeah, just you can follow me on social media. Of working on a new album that I'll hopefully have out. Hopefully first quarter of this year, but we'll see. But yeah, man, just staying busy with it.
Beautiful. Thanks so much, Burns. This has been a pleasure, man.
I appreciate it. You too, man. Hope to see you out and about soon.
You will. Yep. Take care, my friend.
All right. Peace.